the situation on those front lines, of those Donbass front lines, are only getting worse by the hour, and it's looking, at least to me, it looks increasingly like the fall of Mariupol, which the Russians had taken over, had seized last month, in the month of May. Now that city, that embattled city of Sievierodonetsk, has effectively taken center stage with some of the most intense battles in this war so far, and especially over the past few days. As you mentioned, it's fully surrounded by Russian troops. The Russians are in control of the way in and in control of the way out. And the Russians are now demanding that the Ukrainian forces over there will need to surrender immediately. We're hearing that most of those Ukrainian forces have essentially hunkered down at the Azot chemical plant, where nearly 500 civilians, including children, are also trapped and have been trapped for the past several days. And Russia is saying to the Ukrainian troops, in essence, lay down your weapons and we'll allow the safe evacuation of those civilians. So, Oscar, it sounds a lot like somewhat of an ultimatum from the Russians, similar to what we saw in Mariupol last month. And now that 12-hour ceasefire that Moscow had announced yesterday is in effect and will carry on until this evening, until about 8 p.m. Local time. And so it is a very important few hours ahead for those front lines, and which will determine the course of this war, both for the Ukrainians as well as for the Russians. As you've seen over there, there has been that high-level meeting here in Kiev with the president of the EU Commission. And we've heard von der Leyen speak about Ukraine's bid to join the EU bloc, but she has also mentioned that the Commission has begun taking the diplomatic steps that are required to consider Ukraine's candidacy. And of course, while that is positive news for Ukraine, Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, has said that all of this needs to speed up because he's been saying that his country, Ukraine, remains in that gray zone between Russia and Europe 108 days into this war. And of course, von der Leyen has also said with the vast amount of money that's required to rebuild a large number of the cities that have been damaged. So her team is down here in Kiev and across Ukraine to assess some of this damage inflicted by Russia on these Ukrainian cities, saying that her commission is also working to assess the reconstruction work, how much that would cost. And of course, this includes a number of cities in the east of Ukraine, as Russia has continued its assault with heavy weaponry over there. And of course, we've got cities such as the large cities of Mariupol, of Sievierodonetsk, of Kharkiv, and several others in that Donbass region that currently lie in ruins. And of course, Adnan, all of this just goes to show how much of outside help and how much of assistance from the international community Ukraine needs in order to pull itself out of a war that Russia started. President Zelensky continues to defiantly maintain that his country will emerge victorious from this war, and that the international community needs to take solid steps, concrete steps, to stop Russia, and that is crucial for the whole world to stop Russia.